Live in front of a random JPEG of a theater, it's the first annual Jeva Awards. Here's your host, Tom Jeva. Thank you everyone. We got a very exciting show for you all. We got a bunch of awards to go through today, but first, we have a ton of exciting announcements. Alright, here's all the awards we don't have time to go through, and now it's time for Game of the Year, the Lord of the Rings Gollum. That's it everyone, have a good night! It's that time of year again, where everyone goes at each other's throats over what is the arbitrarily best game of the year is. Each website will give their own verdicts, but there's only one award show that everyone talks about, the Game Awards. Starting off on the channel that brought us, "Can you fart so hard your balls explode?" It was mostly seen as a joke. Although it had its fair share of awards, it was mostly filled with mid-2000s edge. After getting sidelined to game trailers and having Joel McHale be the only saving grace of the show,
3 hours of non-stop game binging, over 25,000 tweets, 14 world premieres, 3 exclusive demos, only 2 accidental on-set deaths, and 1 very, very full, very chafy adult diaper.
Jeff Keighley decided to go at it alone. He was able to get support from all the major game companies to create an award show to rival the Oscars at the Grammys, though you don't need to try that hard.
Oh, it's a Grammy!
After a decade, he succeeded. The Game Awards is the most watched awards show in the world, where everyone gets excited over all the new announcements. Except for me. Every year I end up getting disappointed by these awards. It's not because of the announcements, though I do say some of them have been less than stellar. It may be weird to think like this, but I see one major issue with the Game Awards. It's not an award show! It's a non-stop stream of ads! I actually want to celebrate video games and not sit through ad after ad where I can't even tell when the commercial break is on. Imagine if the Oscars did this. Oh, f*** off, Disney. I know many of you are thinking I'm overreacting. What's wrong with having announcements? Don't you like seeing new and exciting games come out? Of course I do, but not during an award show. And yes, I know there are other award shows that are more in line with what I want, but because the Game Awards are so huge, in fact it's the biggest award show in the world, it deserves more scrutiny. The biggest video game award show should do its best to celebrate video games in the best way possible, and unfortunately the current Game Awards don't do this. So what should the Game Awards be doing? Let's take a look at other award shows. They gather all the major talents of their respective industries to celebrate everything that happened throughout the year. They tend to have tons of musical performances, skits, and of course, the awards. Sure, it can be boring at times, but it's really meant for the people who are attending. It's their night to celebrate. Yes, it can also be commercialized at points, but at least most of the people attending these ceremonies actually work in the industry and have some care about their craft. It's more than we can say for some of the guests at the Game Awards, which can be best explained by,
In truth, I don't play a whole lot of video games.
If you don't even play games, then why are you even here? I know why. Because we want to bring in A-list Hollywood actors to give gaming more legitimacy as an art form to the masses. What a load of horse shit. There are many celebrities who are big into video games, so why are these people here? For an award show, it's more appropriate to see people who actually care about games being there. Have game developers present awards, or have some big YouTubers or Twitch streamers make some skits for the entertainment. It should be a celebration of games, not to be envious of other industries. Keep the Muppets though. We need Faizy to make jokes about Baldur's Gate 3. Now it's time to talk about the awards, or in this case, a lack thereof. The Game Awards had 28 categories last year, but only 10 of them got stage presentations. The rest were listed off in brief segments that only lasted a few minutes. It might be because many of these winners didn't show up, but I would think some of these categories deserve more recognition. Why is Best Art Direction and Best Audio Design sidelined? Those are some of the biggest awards. Then you wonder why some of these awards are even here, especially when they're not even focusing on them. Why do we have so many different categories for game genres? Some of them seem to be mashed together arbitrarily since they don't have enough games to fill their own category. Why do we have so many categories about esports? Wouldn't the best esports team be the ones who, well, actually win tournaments? Why do we have a category for content creator? God, I hate that term. Don't they have their own award show? Most anticipated game? So you give an award for the most hype? Best community support? Or in this case, best PR? And then you have all the awards for games that have no chance of winning the Game of the Year, like Best Indie Game. Honestly, I'm sick of the indie branding. What makes indie games any different from their AAA contemporaries? Hell, most years they're the ones making the best games. It feels insulting, if anything. If this is an awards show for the games industry, why aren't there many technical awards? Where's the awards for Best Innovation, Best Technical Achievement, or Most Optimized Game? Well, nobody will win that this year. Where are the awards for Best World and Character Design, or Best Original Song? There's so many aspects of games that need to be recognized, and they aren't. Instead, we need to shove in as many trailers as possible. Look, I don't mind seeing a few announcements here and there, but they shouldn't take up the entire show. Last year was filled with 34 different trailers, many of which appeared back to back. It would be cool if they showed actual gameplay for most of these, but instead we see CGI trailers that don't tell us anything. It gets in the way of the actual awards, but unfortunately, this is why most people are watching the Game Awards to begin with. I get it. We all want to see new game announcements. Most people don't actually care for the awards and instead want to see a trailer for the next big thing that won't come out for another 3 years. It doesn't mean we have to shaft everyone in the games industry to make it happen. They deserve to be recognized for their work. This event is supposed to be for them. But of course, we also need a way to keep people interested. But there's a way for both camps to be happy. In fact, there was an award show that did a good job in balancing both, and that was, well, the Game Awards, back in 2014. It's shocking to see how different the original Game Awards were compared to what it is now. It was made with less of a budget, but it definitely had more heart. Only 8 awards were actually given stage presentations, but at least the other awards had a side chat where the devs were actually handed their awards. Although there were a few announcements, they were way more meaningful as they showed gameplay. Plus, it didn't help that many of these games ended up as some of the best of all time. We had a bunch of game developers presenting the awards, and the celebrities who were there actually do care about games. They even had a bunch of good music performances, including a performance by Imagine Dragons that didn't make me want to puke. The Game Awards in 2014 is everything that the Game Awards should be. It should be an award show first and foremost, mixed in with performances and maybe a few trailers. I know there are still performances, especially for the Game of the Year nominees, but also mix in some other acts. Bring back the people who did the laser show in 2014. Bring on some gaming YouTubers or Twitch streamers who can help create skits. Or just hire Jerma, that works too. Jeff, if the algorithm ever decides to show this to you, I want you to know that I'm happy you found success with your passion project. I really do. But I feel like it's gotten carried away in the last few years. With a few pivots, I feel like you can make something spectacular that can give gaming the respect it deserves. Try and focus more on the awards in future shows. Perhaps dump some of the awards that are already sidelined and add some new awards that give the people who make these games the respect they deserve. Also, raise the number of nominees for Game of the Year to 10. 2023 alone has about 20 games that could be considered Game of the Year, so we need more games to get recognition here. The best way for the Game Awards to move forward is to look to its past. Balance the awards out with the performances that best represent gaming, and then you can splice in a few announcements. With the right balance, the games industry can finally have an award show that both gamers and industry people can be proud of. And also give a shout out to Reformed Rabbi Bill Clinton for me.